Hey guys, this is Gael from marismo.org. In today's press conference, Jose Mourinho said he expected his team to play the football that he knows they can play and to be less innocent and more aggressive. He said it was very important also to play 1 minute at a time and one goal at a time in order to keep calm.
Muy buenos días a todos, bienvenidos.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start Jose Mourinho's press conference. One question per person, and please identify your name and the media you work for. Please have a seat so we can start. Shall we start? Please take your seats. Hello, coach. What is Juanito's spirit, and what's the percentage that you see for Madrid winning tomorrow? Are we ready? Yes, I've heard you. But I didn't see you. Well, you perfectly know him, so you don't need any explanation from me. All things that are part of the history of this club are things that need to be respected. And I, of course, respect him very much. Regarding that percentage, I never want to comment on that. Take into account that there's a big gap in the scoreboard. We know that tomorrow we will start 1 against 4, and with that scoreboard, it is very complicated to use maths in order to justify that we still have some chances. Before a match like this, does your speech change into some epic tones? Would you change your style? Are you going to go for a more aggressive lineup? Well, my speech, I've already given it. After the match in Dortmund, you wanted me to have some kind of dialogue with you, or some kind of speech for you that the same way I would give for my players. I didn't do that, but I have spoken with my players some days after the match, and I've said it all. That is why my speech right now is not important. Because I think what matters now, my reaction, my comments, my education, in terms of the bad match that we did in Dortmund, that's the most important thing. You are in Real Madrid for the 3rd season. Many people see in your figure the chance to get the 10th championship. Maybe Real Madrid can come back. That would be a success for Mourinho. If it doesn't, then it will be the failure of Mourinho. Do you see it that way? No. I think in virtually all football clubs, not only at Real Madrid, but in all football clubs, success belongs to everyone, and failure is the failure of the trainer. But that's not Real Madrid. That's all over the world, with the exception of some clubs. And some of those clubs, those that are special in some way, recognize the figure of the trainer, his responsibilities, if he's good or bad. So I'm totally calm because I know that's the way it is. Failure is the failure of the trainer, and the victory belongs to everyone. If we don't get to the final, it would be my failure. In the match, in the first leg match, you said that the team deserved to win the Champions League, that it was justice. Do you think the team failed on you? Before the match in Dortmund, I asked for justice in a general way, because sometimes football is not fair with some teams. Some teams deserve to win and they don't win. Some teams are about to win and they just lack a tiny bit, or they make some mistakes, or the penalties, such as in the previous season. Sometimes football is not fair. Before Dortmund, I was asking, of course that is a very impossible request, but I asked for football to be fair, and football was fair. That day, the team that won deserved to win, and the team that was defeated deserved to be defeated. And one needs to make amends with that fairness, because football was fair that day. In your previous answer in Dortmund, you said that locker room, the team was confused, but they are going to make a recovery. The interpreter cannot hear the question because the microphone doesn't work correctly. I wasn't too worried about listening, about feeling. About trying to get some emotions. I wanted to give an analysis about the match, about the next match. I was trying to explain to them exactly what I was thinking, and that was my main concern. In the previous press conference to the Dortmund match, you told us the lineup. Are you going to do that now? Why are you going to hide something that is obvious? In Dortmund, the situation was obvious. We all knew the team that was going to play, the starting 11, except for Di Maria, because we needed feedback from him and to know whether he would be available or not. But the team was beyond any doubts. You all knew. There was no doubt at all. But tomorrow the situation is different, because we can play with people that normally don't play. We can play with a system that we don't normally use. Situation is different. So I'm not going to say anything. But the big question for you is whether Cristiano is okay or not. He's okay. Arbeloa, he's not booked, but he's injured, as Marcelo is, and we are all available.
Sky Sports. There was a big story over the weekend that you had told Jurgen Klopp that you're off to Chelsea. What can you tell us about that? And is your future at all determined by what happens tomorrow night?
No, my future doesn't depend on that. I told that before. And it's a pity that people read the newspaper, but after that they don't read when Klopp says, I never told him I was going to Chelsea.
Buenas tardes.
You said before that you had been analyzing Dortmund's match. For tomorrow, after watching that video, is Is the whole comeback spirit the main thing for the match, or football? Is it hard or football? I think for me it's only football. Only football. It's just a match. It's 90 minutes. We are losing 1-4. We still need to play 90 minutes. And football is possible. But the match we played in Dortmund was too bad. In order for us to do a similar match and to think that we have possibilities of coming back against Dortmund, I think one needs to enjoy playing in the field. Not only enjoy when you have margin, a winning margin. You need to enjoy even if the situation is difficult. In that sense, no player has jumped off the ship. No player has said, I'm injured, I don't want to play, or I'm aching. No, everyone is on board, and that gives me self-assurance to play the game. That makes me believe it is possible, but it's just football. Nothing but football. I have read today some statements from a huge figure in the world of football that spoke about the possibility of doing licit and illicit things in the field. 2-3 years ago, when I was coaching Inter, and in the first season in Real Madrid, I spoke about similar things and everyone attacked me. But today one can say that a team can do licit and illicit things and nothing happens. But my team just does licit things. That's the only thing the team can do. We are so pure, so innocent, so naive that Lewandowski scored 4 goals against us and we didn't commit a foul on him. So we're going to play football as a team. We're going to try to be what we are as a team. We are a team with excellent players, and we will try firstly to win the game, and then if we are ahead on the scoreboard, we will try and score more goals and see if we get to the final. You talked about innocence in your football players. Why? What are you requesting from them? Just what I said. If you don't commit a foul on someone who is scoring 4 goals on you, and Cristiano Ronaldo was receiving fouls from the very first minute, so I want people to play aggressively, but on a mental stage, because that's a licit thing. Mental aggressiveness, that's licit, and in that sense we need to be more of a team. I think it was a boring match, as I read the previous match on Saturday in El Calderón, the derby. For me, it was an example of a solid, aggressive, united team, 11 players working at the same time towards a common goal, with playing with the ball. They knew how to suffer, they knew how to defend. We were a team. You said you didn't want to pay attention to what the players were thinking about the comeback. Talking only about football, is it possible for Madrid to come back against Dortmund? And is it possible to have no concessions? We're going to play. As I said, we're going to try and be ahead on the scoreboard. If we are ahead 1-0, we still have 2 goals to win. If we are 2-1, we have still 2 goals to equalize. So it's minute by minute, goal by goal, to the very last breath. That's the most important thing. You can lose the team and not even have a comeback or even a victory. But if we play as we can play, as we have already played many games, if we have the team spirit that a team needs in order to win a big game, football is football, and everything is possible. The taste of the defeat from last week is even more exaggerated because of the defeat against Barcelona. You analyze all videos. What's the explanation for such a poor performance? I did that analysis with the players, but not with you. I cannot do it with you. The microphone doesn't work properly, so the interpreter cannot translate the question. I didn't want to do that because for me the best way to motivate the fan base is to achieve a different result in Dortmund. That's the only way to motivate the fan base. The fan base is motivated by the players playing correctly, seriously, giving everything they can. That's the only way to motivate the fan base. That's my work. All other people work in other fields. They can think that they can motivate people with a video, with statements, but for me, I'm a football coach. I motivate people with results. That's the way I motivate people. In Spanish, right? Yes. Zanetti and Balotelli in the same question is a question I cannot give an answer to. Are you asking about one or the other one? Zanetti. Obviously, we already talked on the phone and it's there. Ready for more. I'm going to fight to come back. Yesterday, 2 radio stations spoke about contacts between Real Madrid and Ancelotti. If you're going to tell the truth, please don't answer. Do you think tomorrow can be your last game in the Champions League with Real Madrid? I don't know. About the contacts between Real Madrid and Ancelotti, you need to ask Real Madrid. And whether it can be my last game, I'm not feeling anything. I feel that it is the most important game in the history of Real Madrid in the last 10 years, possibly. That's what I'm thinking. But I also thought that way before the Dortmund match, and we played that game as though it were a friendly game. The World Championship with Portugal in 2014, that's impossible. And tomorrow, I'm not worried about Dortmund. After the match we played in Dortmund, the only thing that worries me is that my team needs to be my team. I'm not worried about Dortmund. I'm worried about my team being my team. You've always said that one of the challenges in your career is to win titles in 3 different countries. Do you feel more pressure tomorrow? Because if you don't win, you will miss on Spain winning the Champions League, or doesn't that count at all? That doesn't count at all. But I hope to have at least 10 years to go on winning titles and competitions. If I don't win now, there are wonderful coaches in football that have not been able to win a Champions League title. I have won 2. I need to thank God for that. But I need to go on fighting in order to win a 3rd title. Last 2 questions. One question in German. I just wanted to highlight that Jurgen Klopp has said he has never spoken about you and your future. My question is that Borussia Dortmund is surprised to be in the semi-final, and how do you assess the situation in Borussia Dortmund? Do you think it was a success that will not be repeated, or do you think in the next seasons Borussia has good chances to win in Europe? I haven't spoken with Klopp about my future, that's the truth. And I can only tell the truth. There's no story in that. If it's a surprise for someone, it is for me. From the beginning of the season, I think that Dortmund was candidate to win the title. Last year they had an adaptation year, a year when they weren't successful in the group stage, but the team was already there. The team was under construction, and for me it is no surprise that Dortmund is where it is. They are going to lose Mario Götze, that's what they say. They are saying also that Lewandowski will go to some other team. But I think there's a great team structure. There's a great coach, which is who is Klopp. There's a calmness around the team that he can work with, and the team can go on winning because the team is amazing, and the trainer too. Last question. The 2 German teams won the 2 Spanish teams by a very high margin. The 2 German teams are very good teams, no doubt about that. The German national team as well. There are many good football players now. There's a good generation of players, and they are a big national team that can be a favorite for winning the competition in Brazil. Thank you. Thank you.